Welcome to another episode of the Lovers and Things podcast,
where your favorite couple's favorite couple
talks about the things they love. See, and this is why.
I get
carried
away, and I try to outdo you.
Yeah.
But then
how's that working for you?
Always fly too close to the sun. Just struggle through that one.
How's that working for you?
Not great.
I'm just kidding. No, you do well. Hi guys, I'm Lex.
I'm Greg.
Welcome back to another episode of the pod.
Yes.
We're starting off strong. One of these days, we're going to get a really good harmony for you guys.
Right.
We're going to hit a good harmony.
We should practice.
We should.
Just go off and just train on our intro and
I agree.
And coordinate something.
Because we just go in. We just go in and I don't know.
Yeah. So how you been?
I'm doing good. Mm-hmm. I'm good. The weather's good. I'm in a very good mood because of the weather.
Today was amazing.
Mm-hmm. It was supposed to rain today in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. And it did not. It did not rain.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was stunning today.
It was breathtaking.
Yeah.
How amazing was out there.
Yeah.
I stepped out to I was like, oh, it says 65 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that sounds great.
Yeah.
But let me see what it really is. So then I went out and was just hit with just nothing weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing weather when it's it's not hot. It's not even cold.
Sure.
It's just nothing. And it's bright and sunny. Oh, it was amazing.
It was really good. And it inspired me to make a salad.
Uh-huh.
That's how warm it was outside that I felt like this is salad weather.
Yeah.
And so I went to the grocery store to get ingredients for the 1905 Columbia salad for you Florida folks, you Sarasota, Florida folks in particular. Yeah. Y'all know about the Columbia 1905 salad. So that's what we did for lunch/dinner today.
Yeah. So what is this? Tell the people about this Columbia salad.
So Columbia is a restaurant in Sarasota. It is a staple. It is right on St. Armand Circle. It's been around since the beginning of the time. It may be one of the oldest restaurants in the city. Somebody fact check that for me.
It started in 1905. So
it's
that's up there.
It's serious. And so they have this salad that they have that is super simple but super delicious. Traditionally, it comes with iceberg lettuce, tomatoes. I think there's red onion on there.
Spanish green olives,
Swiss cheese, and then ham. Yeah. That's it.
And there's a good dressing that comes with it too.
I'm getting there. Oh. And so the dressing is what makes it special. The dressing is super simple. It's a mix of olive oil, mm-hmm. lemon, red wine, white wine vinegar, and Worcestershire sauce.
That sauce.
That sauce. But anyway, super simple, but it's just a staple in the community. It's delicious. Mm-hmm. And so the recipe is readily available. It's even on their website, so they're not trying to hide it from you. And so I wanted one really bad today because the weather just felt so warm, and when it's warm, it feels like home to me. Yeah. So I had to do it today. And plus, I was telling you, I have not been on my salad game as of late. I eat them pretty much every day at work, right. But homemade salad,
a house salad, if you will.
If you will, I need to be back on my house salad game because my God, was it good today? What did you think about it?
Yeah, it was good, and I'm glad we got out there. We went out on the deck and set up our little bistro. And just had a time. It was great to be outside.
It was good to be outside.
I think anybody in Jersey can relate how amazing it was this past Sunday.
I saw so many people. Somebody else was eating something on their backyard. Mm-hmm. I saw y'all have heard us talk about Manny. We saw Manny, the guy directly behind us. They know who Manny is.
Manny's identity is all on this podcast.
Well, Manny not listening to the podcast.
Okay, well we'll run it by him next time. I even saw one of the neighbors that never be outside.
Who?
The one on the other side.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about that I saw.
You saw it. Never outside.
Never outside.
He was outside today.
Yeah, the good weather brings the people out. And I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it felt great. And then this week ain't going to be like that. It's going to be back at, the 40s, 50s.
But you know
50s.
What's funny is that they said that today was supposed to be bad. They said today was supposed to be rainy and cold, and it wasn't. So I say let's give God a chance to work.
Let's see. We'll see.
Because Lord knows, give me some more sunshine. I'm tired of this rain, Jesus.
Yeah. We watched a movie, an amazing movie. We rewatched Amazing Movie.
We did. Well, we watched a couple of amazing movies over that that day in particular, we watched like a bunch of Black classics. In honor of Black History Month. It was not in honor of Black History Month.
It's just what we do. Right. We saw Baby Boy again.
Yeah.
And what a movie. I was taken aback because the last time I saw Baby Boy, I was a baby boy. I was a teenager. I was the youth. And when I was watching that movie, I kind of felt connected to Tyrese's character a bit. I was watching the film through his perspective. He is the main character, like I was really locked in onto his journey and I felt like I not necessarily related, but I empathized for the Tyrese character, Jody. More empathized, meaning like I felt for him.
Okay.
Like I just felt for him. I kind of understood his perspective a little bit more.
Oh, how generous.
Yeah, I just in a sense of like, obviously I was aware that he was a hot mess.
Yeah, sure.
But there were certain aspects of the character that I felt like the aspect of him kind of trying to make it, right? Him going through a tough patch in life. And particularly his relationship with his mother's new boyfriend. Yeah. I forgot his name. I want to say Melvin.
It's Melvin.
Oh, it's Melvin. Ving Rhames' character. And like I felt the antagonist. I felt like he was being antagonized in some ways as a youth.
Wow.
And I felt the tension from Tyrese's perspective as the youth. And then I rewatched this movie, and first off, the plot is amazing.
Yeah, Baby Boy is actually a well-written movie.
Really good.
Yeah.
Classic. And I'm watching it, and now I found myself on the other side. I felt like I was relating to Ving Rhames' character more, Melvin's character, and the idea of like, Tyrese is like a young guy that's just caught in male chauvinism and doesn't understand what it takes what it really means to be a man. Yeah. And it's interesting to watch a movie after so many years and see your perspective switch, and that's a telltale sign for a good movie. When you can when they like through different perspectives who you are in your life, you may start to empathize more with one character than another.
That's so interesting. Yeah. When I watched it, I was gonna say the second time around, but it's been more than 2 times.
That thing was always on. BET.
Always on BET. One of them Saturday sleeper movies. I agree. Now, I always knew that Jody was trifling. But now that I'm a little bit older, I do not empathize as much as I did with Taraji P. Henson's character.
Oh, really?
I'm like, well, you're letting this man into your life. Like, this man is just not, he's not great, girl. He's not great. You can't find your car. You and his baby mama have to have a good relationship because he done had a baby on you while y'all was together. Y'all keep letting him in your life. He's kind of cheating, but not really cheating. Right. He's not available. He's not consistent.
Not a great communicator.
He's not providing for you and the son that you have with him. Like, why are we continue to go around in circles with this guy? And I get the emotional attachment to it, right? Like, I get that piece. But a lot of her personal turmoil was 100% her own doing. So I was just like, the whole time, I'm just like, oh, girl, get rid of him. Get rid of him. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy how that changes.
You felt like you had a change? Like when you watched it in the past?
I feel like when I was younger, I was
Jody
like,
just do right.
Yeah, like Jody just needs to get his stuff together. But then it's like, no, Taraji also needs to get they both needs to move on. Yeah, they both need to just not deal with each other in that way until they can get into a better place. And even at the end when they foreshadowed them being engaged and her being pregnant again, I sighed disappointment. In the past, I was like, oh my gosh, they end up getting engaged. Oh my gosh, she's gonna have another baby. But now I'm like, oh my God, this is not gonna work. Why would she do that? Why would she say yes to that? Yeah, it's crazy.
That's so interesting. Yeah, and like seeing like the mother getting, and then seeing what the mother getting with Melvin and understanding like and first of all, I like the representation of a mother, because a lot of films portray mothers in like a, kind of settle down. They don't want to have their own
like their
love
lives
life.
become their children, and nothing else fits in there.
And they kind of portray them as kind of washed a bit and not active.
Yeah.
I love the way it was very it was really great to see like a mother being portrayed in that light. Like, okay, like she's a mom, but she also has her own thing going on. She has her love life. She has her own hobbies and things like that. Even though she's trying to transition into being an empty nester. Yeah. Jody just can't leave the house.
For whatever reason.
But she's eager to move into this next chapter of life with like enthusiasm and excitement, not like, oh, I'm getting old and this is it. What is my worth now? But she's like, no, I got other things going on. Yeah. And that was beautiful too. And I'm looking at this movie as a mid 30-year-old now, and I'm just like, what a great story.
This is so good.
Yeah. And particularly the lessons that Melvin was saying, like Melvin was basically putting them on game. It's like, look, you want to be hard right now. You want to like basically prove your masculinity in some regards. But life ain't really about that. Life is really about taking care of your woman and holding down your family and being reliable. But not for these peak moments of chauvinism that it seems like Jody and his friend were chasing. These moments of these highs of dramatic masculine expression as opposed to being a consistent solid guy in the house, which is what Melvin was offering to his mother. And also Melvin had lived a life. And I was like, and was in the streets and did his thing, and he's mentoring back into another young black man. Really
and
that was beautiful.
It was. So, even though Jody wasn't having it. Melvin really did try though.
Instead Jody took the fact that a man is talking to him and being honest and transparent and offering direction, being that he's an OG, as like a threat. And
and Melvin had to choke him up real quick, and I was cheering for Melvin. I said, "That's right, Melvin, get him," because sometimes you got to put the children in check. Like you're pushing it. Right. Let's not forget.
And I remember being young, being like, "This guy is so annoying. Like, why is he in his mom's house naked?" Well, why is Tyrese still in his mom's house?
His mama's
at
house.
His big age.
With a whole kid, 2 baby mamas. Right. Go away.
Right. Why is then that's the way I'm viewing it now. And it's it's just such an interesting dichotomy to see yourself root for a different character when you rewatch a movie like 20 years later. Yeah.
The stars of the show were definitely Jody's mom and Melvin for me. They carried the movie for me, probably because again my perspective is a little bit different. And then the secret enemy. The secret enemy is always going to be Taraji for me. I think her character got a little too much grace. Even when conversations are happening now, her character got a little bit too much grace, and she should have done better for herself than that. Yeah, I think she could have.
Yeah, baby boy. Yeah. This is what you guys tuned into us for. 25 years later?
Crazy.
What a timely time.
What a time to be alive.
Our SEO's finna pop off.
No,
babe.
Hi.
Everyone's going to be searching for this, and we're going to get a lot of clicks.
Baby boy.
The baby boy review in 2024.
Crazy.
But gosh. But speaking of Man in the House.
Yeah.
We had a very interesting moment. And, it's the beginning of March. We got a new budget. And we were budgeting for some fun stuff. And I said a statement that I couldn't imagine myself saying. Yeah. Which was, "Hey, babe, we budgeted for home decor items and you didn't buy it yet. Yeah. Go shopping and buy some home decor things."
My soul left my budget. Body. I was so pleased with that.
Could you believe that?
I was so happy.
I was like, "Oh, you didn't hit your budget.
Yeah, you didn't spend the money. Can you please spend the money? Well, say less. Yeah. You have to tell me twice."
And then the funny thing about it is, like, I was shirtless and I walked in your office and I was like, "Babe, go spend some money."
And I was like, "Is this a dream? Is this a fantasy?"
I was like, if that's not like female porn, I don't know what that is.
It is. It's like peak, like, wow, this is an amazing life.
Yeah. Well, don't get used to it.
honey, no, leave a little money in the budget every month for a little bit of home decor.
But it's good to have a budget and try to stick to it, right?
Yeah. We have a very interesting month-to-month budget tracker, but then an annual budget tracker, which I find to be super helpful because we can see like what our spending habits are and things like that. But yeah, budgeting kings and queens over here.
Yeah, and then every now and then you gotta make, the same way that you're enforcing your budget, trying to stay within it.
Yep.
If you plan to buy something that month,
buy it.
You should buy it because what's gonna happen? Then we gotta move it. Honestly, for me, I gotta move it to the next month, and it's like, well, we had goals for this month. And it's like if we're not doing the things that we plan,
what's the point?
It just starts piling up.
Sure.
So, but yeah, that was quite a statement, huh?
It was quite a statement.
Go
and I loved
shopping
it.
is what Greg said.
Go shopping. Music to my ears.
Yeah. So what else has been going on with you?
Yeah. So I did want to make a note of the fun Black History Month things that I was able to attend this month.
Yeah.
By way of my job, and then just by way of the community itself. So my company did a really cool, do I mention my company on here? Did we do that? Did we talk about where we work?
I think people assume you working somewhere.
Okay, yeah. I work somewhere.
You got a job.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm like, did we mention it?
You work in beauty.
Yes, there we go. I work in beauty. And so there was an entire, every week there was, or every week or so, there was a panel or some sort of interactive event to honor Black History Month. The theme of this month was the Black influence on ... And every one of those little moments was about either skincare, hair care, trends, makeup, whatever. So super cool because again, we work in beauty. So I was able to attend the digital panel about the Black influence on skincare, which is really interesting. I work in skincare now. I used to be a hair care girl. I'm a skincare girl now.
Yes.
So that panel was really interesting. I also attended the Black influence on hair, which was hosted at the Bumble and Bumble studio in, I don't know, somewhere in Manhattan, I don't know. But that was really fun. And that conversation I am deeply connected to because, as I just said, I worked in hair care, curly hair care in particular, for quite a long time. Yeah. And so the conversation around Black representation, visibility in the beauty space for natural curly hairstyles, Black women, it's very closely tied to me. So that one was great.
You worked in that so much that you even made YouTube videos about that.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Like you were like in that culture.
It's my world. Deep. Yeah, it's very much my world.
And it's very evident.
As evidenced by my fresh wash and go, which, by the way, if y'all are watching on YouTube, if you're not watching on YouTube, you should, so you can see my hair. This is a fresh wash and go using mousse only. And for those of us who are 4-category girls, you know how difficult that is. So if you want the deets, I'll let you know, drop a comment. But anyway.
Yeah, we have to bring that account back.
Bring that account back because
the luscious locks are
this is new.
Lusciousing.
Thank you, honey. And then the last one, which was really interesting, was at the MAC offices. And it was the Black influence on trends. And so there was a fashion show. There was makeup being done, obviously, because it was MAC. And it was really fun. They had the best food spread. They had they had food. Oh. They had little plates of
what they got?
Black people food. Fried chicken, jerk salmon, mac and cheese, collard greens, potato salad, and liquor. And it was, fantastic.
Yeah.
I had a little bite of salmon and just a smidge of the potato salad because we were supposed to go to dinner after that, and that ended up being a debacle. That ended up being a debacle.
Was that your? Cause can I get into this dinner a little bit?
Go ahead, honey.
Something, name nothing more disappointing than going out to eat and feeling like you wasted your money
and
time.
Oh my gosh. And I don't think I've ever felt as genuinely angered and disappointed. I was mad when we went where we went.
Well, we can tell the people.
Yeah, we went to Eataly. In World Trade.
It just, it's fine.
It wasn't fine.
But it just went.
Yeah, it was great. It wasn't great. We're sitting here so disappointed. I had a salad. Now, first of all.
Well, that's a big red flag right there, buddy.
But usually, y'all, when I get a salad from a place, it's a robust salad, lots of layers. I'm going to go in. Let me just go in and say it. This particular salad had 2 greens and was supposed to have potatoes.
2 greens? What do you mean by this? 2 greens?
2 types of lettuce. Two types of greens, 2 types of lettuce. Supposed to have potatoes, supposed to have beans, supposed to have a good dressing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Ciao. I get the salad and I literally think they gave me the wrong one because all I see is lettuce. So I'm like, oh, I was literally about to say, oh no, ma'am, this can't be my salad. I asked for the salad with the robustness, with the flavor, with the dimension.
The potatoes, I didn't know potatoes came that small.
I literally had to
bean.
Yeah, at the bottom of the bowl was half of one potato that was this big.
Yeah.
This big.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was a full circle too. It wasn't like a slice.
just a potato this big. Yeah. And then I was expecting like green peas or like some sort of bean. They were snap peas that were cut, like one snap pea cut into fours.
Why are you cutting snap peas?
Why are we cutting snap peas?
It's already a pea.
Give me the full pea.
Give me the full pea. Pause.
Pause. Give me the full pea.
Give me the full peas.
And then I was like, okay, well maybe I can deal with this, but maybe I just need more dressing. I'm always an extra sauce girl anyway, so I ask her for extra dressing. Boy, she comes back with this dressing, which is an herb yogurt based dressing.
A ramekin
of dressing. So I'm like, okay,
a lot.
Yeah. I was like, okay, now I'm in business. I put the dressing on there. The dressing tastes like air. Why aren't y'all salting and peppering and enhancing y'all dress? Child, I was so done. I was so disappointed.
Yeah, and then my thing, the pasta was hitting. One thing Eataly gonna do. No, just the pasta. Like the ingredient pasta. Like the noodle was good. Yeah. But you're eating more than noodles. Yeah. You have the sauces and meats and all that stuff in it. They do noodle very well.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Let them noodle.
They noodle very well. So if you want to get some pasta that you're gonna cook at the house, stop by Eataly. Got some great fresh pasta. Fair enough. However, I had a bolognese. The ground beef wasn't flavorful. You know, it wasn't flavorful.
Salt.
The sauce was flat. But you know, it was just underwhelming.
Yeah.
But the pasta was good, and not the dish. Good. The dish was okay, but the noodles themselves are like fantastic.
Oh, well, that's
so
good.
So maybe you get a ravioli, maybe a ravioli's hitting.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. I definitely can't go get a salad because I have never been so disappointed.
Oh, I felt so bad.
I was just like, what? Why am I here?
Yeah, and you added shrimp to it. And
yeah,
the shrimp
it was a
really,
$17 salad. $11 to add on the shrimp. So I paid $28 for a salad that they didn't even bother to put kosher salt on top. Like I was so
wasn't no salt on the table either.
Wasn't no salt on the table, which I'm fine with if your food hidden.
If your food hidden, yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, you know. Anyway, absolutely disappointed in that. Do you quickly want to talk about the experience we had last night though? Because that was a good one.
Oh yeah, we always are craving culture.
Yeah, we love it.
We're craving moments with other Black people and peers, and we love to see other beautiful Black faces in a space. But unfortunately, for our perspective, we don't have that many outlets for this.
Not where we haven't
had many. We haven't had many outlets for that.
Sure.
So we were invited to Brooklyn Museum's first Saturdays.
Yes.
Yeah, first Saturdays, and it was a vibe.
It was so fun. It was so fun.
It was a vibe. It was in the museum. So imagine basically a festival inside of a museum.
Yeah.
So you've got beautiful arts on the wall, beautiful spaces, and then you've got like live performances.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Vendors with food, food vendors, jewelry vendors, product vendors, and all the people from Brooklyn, in the one building, and it was just a great vibe overall.
It was,
and it was also cool to also then see an exhibit in the middle of all that.
I think that's what was most interesting about it to me is the fact that it's literally almost the entirety of the museum that is open for you to explore. And on the third floor, on different floors, they have like setup of vendors and all that kind of stuff. And that's where we spent most of our time. The third floor atrium, I guess, is the area.
Yeah.
This beautiful open space. And when we walked into it, my mouth was like literally open because first of all, stunning space. Second of all these people just enjoying themselves, standing around, dancing, visiting vendors.
Right.
It was just such a good vibe. There was this Middle Eastern DJ that was tearing it up.
Killing it.
She was top tier.
Them bops were bopping.
The bops were bopping. It was so nice. And then we wandered around to some of the vendors and actually ended up spending a good amount of time in what felt to be like an Egyptian exhibit.
Yeah.
looking at full-on hieroglyphics and tombs and mummies and coffins. It was very, very cool.
Yeah, and we were invited by our future brother-in-law, Steve, and his roommates, Thomas,
of the Thomas and Adrian
duo.
podcast and family.
And we was having a time. We was over there cackling and being ridiculous as we do. Just like looking at all the artifacts from the past.
Yeah.
So it was a great hang.
Yeah, it's good to get out and just, experience life, experience people, and experience good vibes, good energy. So it was a fantastic way to kick off the month. So fun. And I want to go again. Apparently it's, if you want to get tickets, the minute they release, you got to get on it.
Yeah.
Because people are trying to get there, and I see why. It's such a vibe. Everyone looked good. Everything just felt good. It was just such a moment. So I would love to go back again and experience it for a little more time. We came at around 7:30, 40 ish,
just about.
And it ends at around 10. And so we got about a little over 2 hours of action, which was enough.
Yeah, it was a good hang. Yeah. It's a good hang. I'm glad that they do stuff like that.
Yeah. If there's anything like that in the Jersey area, somebody let us know.
Yeah, we have a strong Jersey listenership.
Yeah. Let us know. Are there cool black people things going on in Jersey?
Or any people, any gathering that's a vibe.
Yeah, any gathering that's a vibe. But you know,
yeah, definitely, black people.
Those are fun too.
We're looking for more peers.
Yeah, more peers. But listen, we are a multicultural podcast, so I'm not turning down anything.
Oh yeah, we're good for a good hang.
Listen, period. Some of my best friends in Jersey are non-black people. So
yeah.
Actually, I just realized what that sounded like. You know how people be like, no, I have black friends. Not me saying I have non-black friends.
Like literally, like most of your friends are non-black.
They literally are.
Yeah.
Love them. All right. So I wanted to talk to you about something. And I wanted to talk to the people about something.
Okay.
So you guys remember I was telling you I was doing things for Black History Month, not only at my job, but other places. There was this one event that I attended. It was a book signing event, which I was excited for. It was for a book of inspirational quotes curated by a young author native to the Paterson, New Jersey area.
Yeah.
And so I was excited to do that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So I went, and part of the program was not only to discuss, her history. She had graduated from a Paterson high school, gone down to Spelman, got her degree, and is now back in the city trying to transition into what is next. After college, life gets weird. So just trying to figure out what's happening. But during that transition, she developed this book of inspirational quotes that helped her get through the transition herself. She's now offering it to the public. Very, very nice.
Nice.
And so the format was obviously that piece, and then also getting to know, some of the quotes in the book, the things that she enjoyed most. And then it was just open Q&A, which I thought was interesting. I was like, oh, okay, she's going to be answering questions about just like life.
Just have a discussion.
Just open discussion about her insight. And it's interesting because most of the people in the room were older than the author was. But a lot of the questions were about life and experience. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. One question in particular, like put an alarm off in my head. And because the author herself is a finance major, she works in private equity. And so one of the things that she wants to be able to do is to spread financial literacy throughout the community, because there's a lot of things that people just do not know.
Right.
And so one of the questions from the audience was, as a Black woman, as a Black person, she understands that there are just certain things that Black people do not know. And as a result, how is the author's work that she's doing for financial literacy helping the people, so on and so forth. And that kind of I was like, oh, interesting question, kind of set off an alarm in my head. And then what followed from there were questions that were framed from the perspective of, oh, we know Black people don't have this, so how do we overcome it? Or, we know that Black people don't have this, so how are we working against it? And for the first time in a long time, I felt uncomfortable with that narrative.
Yeah.
I think up until this point, I would have been okay sitting in a room with other Black people and having the comfort to say that. And I think you should, because I think a lot of our experiences as Black people is this common trauma bond of our lived experiences.
Right.
And the negativity that we have experienced through generations, right? That's a common thread, and we all can align on that.
Yeah.
But in conversations like these, I just want us to think outside of the box a little bit, I guess, if that makes sense, and to not view our Blackness as an inherent limitation, and know that,
the fact that you're Black.
Yeah, the fact that you're Black does not
a limitation.
Yeah, it is not a death sentence. It is not an automatic, it does not ensure that your life is going to have certain limitations and troubles. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think we all understand that there are some things that are inherently against us.
Yeah,
we
have to be mindful of as we move in the world.
Exactly. You have to be mindful of.
Yeah.
But I also understand that, like, financial literacy in particular, or lack of financial literacy, is not uniquely a Black people thing.
No,
it's really a middle class, lower class
middle class issue.
Thing. Yeah, it's not a Black people issue, and so I just want us to start thinking a little bit beyond the perceived limitation of Blackness, and realize that the game is rigged for everybody. The game is rigged for everybody. It's rigged a little different for people, but the game is rigged for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a reason why there's a 5 and 1%, and then there's everybody else.
Right.
Because the game is rigged for everybody.
And particularly with financial literacy, when you talk with some friends and family and things like that, or not family, but because obviously family will be like you, but when you talk with some friends that are different backgrounds, and you realize a lot of these things are shared experiences.
That's true.
That is not necessarily a race connection, but to your point, it's likely a socioeconomic
more
constraint,
than anything. Yeah,
not a because I'm Black constraint.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. And I love the idea of somebody going out and doing something different and learning something and bringing it back to the community and teaching the community. But I'm no longer a fan of the narrative of perpetuating this idea that there are just inherent limitations of us as people.
Because we're Black.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, understanding the structures at play and understanding how the game works is different than personally identifying with a negative thought pattern, mindset, paradigm that is going to prevent you from viewing the world in a way that you think you can win.
Just because you're Black.
Just because you're Black.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue that I was having with the conversation at large.
I do have a very strong issue with that as well. I don't believe that there are things for Black people in the sense like I'm Black, so I need to do Black people things. I'm this, I need to do that. Yes, I will partake in things of my culture, but that doesn't mean that I can't step out into and experience other things in the world. And sometimes I'll see that too as this is not made for me, so therefore I'm gonna opt myself out. And it's very troubling to see that as well. And I think that kind of mimics that type of perspective of like, the default is I'm Black, so therefore, this is that. And it's a very dangerous space when you subscribe to that, because I think you automatically rule yourself out for certain things.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, the prejudice, you're already going to face a lot of injustice and prejudice in the world, and inherent due to the color of your skin. So why already put that on yourself internally? Like Blackness, like we're saying, is not a limitation. It's something to consider for sure.
Oh yeah,
something not to be ignorant of.
Absolutely not.
But it's not I wouldn't recommend anyone to view it as a limitation. But you just have a different set of cards that you have to work with.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, your cards are a little bit different, and I think one of the common threads of our people across the diaspora is the fact that we have made a whole bunch with a very little across the diaspora, right? And I think that is something to be proud of. And I think part of moving the conversation forward, and I don't like to talk about Black people as a monolith because we aren't, but for the sake of the conversation, for moving our people along and thought processes along, I'd like to just widen the scope just a tad for us not to think that, the widespread understanding is that Black people don't have this, that may be your experience, and that may be the experience of those around you. But I think it lends itself to the idea of, ways to expand the mindset of the individuals in our community.
Yeah.
And I think it all comes down to 3 things for me. And I thought about this: exposure, experience, and then access. I think those are the things that we need to start putting in place in order to make the game easier to play.
Yeah.
Exposure from a perspective of, if you know better, you do better, right? If you know that you are have access to this sort of career, or access to this level of investment, or this is where you should be thinking,
or these
in
are
terms
opportunities
of
that could be available to you.
Yeah, that's part of the exposure, and I think that's important. So exposure is one. Not just that, but also exposure to different lifestyles, exposure to different cultures. I find that most of my understanding of the world and what has humbled me but made me a good learner, student of the world, is the fact that I've been exposed to so many different people and cultures.
Yeah.
And so by way of that, I've been able to learn so much and take what I will from each of those experiences and apply it to my own life.
Yeah, then you start to see some similarities.
Yeah, you
start to realize, this is not necessarily a unique challenge that my community is facing. This is a challenge that I'm seeing also in my peers' community.
Exactly.
Whether they're white, Hispanic, all banner backgrounds. But you start to see the similarities. And then like you're saying, you start to see how there's a bigger, I don't know, not controversy, but there's a bigger machine at play as to why certain things are the way they are.
Exactly. So I think that exposure and understanding is important. I think that's like step 1.
Yeah.
So the step 2 for me is the experience, right? Because once you have exposure to different things, once you have different paths sort of shown to you, you have to be able to experience them too, right? Like, it's like, a good example of this is, had no one told you that you could be an engineer, would you have done it? Like, you had to have the exposure, but then you had to have the experience, right? So you went and pursued it. You had the experience, the opportunity to be hands-on or whatever. And that could be for all sorts of things, not just education, but being able to experience things practically and then make a decision for yourself how you want to move forward is important. That's why I think it's important for people to leave their hometown. I think it's important for people, if they do not leave their hometown, to experience life outside of your norm, because that experience opens your world up to the possibilities. And again, different ways of thinking, and realizing your world isn't this big, your world is this big. It's much more grand, and you have much more effect.
And I think what that does and I think what you're getting at is this gives people just a little bit more clear language to describe things. And I think it's can be a little lazy to just say Black people. I think sometimes because everyone, there's so many, it's such a broad term. Saying Black people in my community are struggling with this. Black people that I come across here or in this type of scenario or in this context matters. And it also allows people to feel like to dive into the specifics of the root of the problem a little bit more.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, to your point, like, this idea of realizing that there are shared experiences across races, across generations, across, like, those shared experiences are things that kind of bring people together.
Yeah.
And I think, to the last point, through those shared experiences, you gain access to different people, different experiences, different systems that provide you the space and the support to do what you need to do, if that makes sense. If you were never exposed to the thing, if you never experienced the people, you would not have the access to move yourself forward. And so you need all of those pieces in order for mindset shifts to happen, and for you to, I think, just move your life forward in whatever way you're looking to do that. But I think we can't be too bogged down with this idea of the smaller details. The smaller details are a symptom and not the cause. We need to be trying to address the cause of these issues. And I think it has a lot to do with how we have been trained to see the world. We've been trained to see the world as a place where we are the disadvantaged in every room that we walk in.
Yeah.
And that may be true.
Yeah.
Frankly, but what do I do about it? It's not about what happens to me. It's about what I do once the thing happens.
Right.
Like, how do I move around it? How do I still make a situation a win-win for myself? And so, yeah, mindset shifts is kind of what I'm getting at. And so I was hoping that conversation at the book signing would lead there, but it didn't. There wasn't the space for it really, but I think it just showed me that there's opportunities for these conversations to happen.
Yeah.
Because I think they're important too.
Yeah, and I think to like go one level deeper, if you will,
If you will.
you really think about those. Though you hit on some good points in the sense of, particularly with like community programs.
Yeah.
Community programs, I think, have two options. Community programs that aim to serve the Black community or any type of social programs in general. It's either try to get a handout or try to get a leg up, and both are powerful tools to help underserved communities.
Yeah.
Handouts, sometimes I'm drowning. I just need a little help. I need a stimulus. I need a grant. I need cash. I need a loan. I need a scholarship.
Yeah.
Those are great tools. But a leg up is, I think, sometimes a little bit more powerful in the sense that these are, I'm talking about, when I say leg up, I'm talking about apprenticeship programs. I'm talking about courses, providing courses that give people training and certain skill sets that they can then market.
Experience.
A leg up is like a internship program for specific communities.
Yeah.
And I think programs need to ensure that they have a good mix of both handouts and leg ups, because if you don't have both, I think you're kind of limiting the community in that regard.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in programs, and I think also as individuals who are from underserved communities, be mindful that you need to have both as well.
Yes.
Because sometimes you have to do your work, because maybe certain organizations are just hyper focused on just getting you cash.
Yeah.
And that is good, and it's great. Scholarships are great and all that. But that's not help you land a job.
Yeah. No.
What really might help you land a job is having a job fair.
Yep.
Actively pushing internships within the communities, things like that. Pushing apprenticeship programs in the grant. Like that taps into the experience thing, and that allows you access, because then you meet people.
Yep.
Whereas, and I think your 3 points, the experience, the access, and what was the other one? Exposure. That's the leg up. And I sometimes feel like a lot of programs that I've seen are lacking that. They get people in the door through, or get people the quick fix, but then some. And I see this sometimes in college programs.
Absolutely.
They'll have programs for, this is the Black medical students program, and it's so scholarship focused. Or this is the Black students organization, whatever. And is very much so focused on maybe just getting them a job, but not necessarily getting them the skills, like
that's right.
Like interview prep and resume building and things like that. There's so many like exposure points, and then I think both sides are responsible, the people that are providing the services to the community and also the community. And I think, as far as this voice can reach, I hope that people are being mindful of both sides. The handouts, which are very helpful.
Yes.
And then the leg ups, which are almost probably more helpful than the handouts.
I think it's so true. And this is only from a career perspective, but can I just say that half of what has happened for me in my career has been because of an exposure-y, leg uppy situation. Yeah. It has always been because of my reputation, I guess. Like at some point it becomes like what people start to say about you, but those things can't happen unless you're in the room, unless you have the experience. And and I always think there was my very first boss when I came to New York was someone that even I think about so often, even to this day. But her ability to see in me potential was the leg up that I needed to get my foot in the beauty industry, and I've been taking off ever since.
Yeah.
But imagine if that Black woman did not see something in me or did not fight for me behind the scenes, my career would have looked totally different. That was amazing.
Yeah, and you're no less equipped.
Oh yeah. I would have been good either way.
You're still the same person, but it was that opportunity to get in the door. That is what propelled you.
Yes.
You could have worked and studied as much as you could as you wanted.
And I did.
And you could have done all the things, but if you didn't know the right people, you're kind of limited by that.
Yeah. So I think access is also very important. And Greg talked about college. And for those of you who have children in college, or if you yourself are in college, I think 100% you do your best to get the best grades that you can have.
Sure.
Absolutely. You need to be, once you get into your end of your sophomore, junior year, you need to be just as serious about getting in somebody's face in an area that you feel like you want to work in.
Yeah.
If that is interning, if that is volunteering your time, if that is being the face of something, you need to be involved in that, because you need to have a life outside of that experience. Yeah. You need to have a life.
The degree ain't enough.
The degree's not enough. The degree's not enough. And like I said, half of the reason things happen in your career after some point is because somebody who knows somebody has said something good about you. People don't hire, and this is purely about work, y'all. So sorry if this is, not
work,
your jam.
I mean, it's a big part of our lives.
Yeah,
we spend a lot of hours doing it.
Yeah,
so.
8 hours a day or more.
Yeah.
People don't take a long time trying to figure out who gonna be the best for the job. They're gonna ask around. Somebody who somebody. The minute you start getting a good reputation about yourself, watch your life kind of take off in that regard. But that has everything to do with the experience and the exposure that got you the access to be in those rooms for those conversations to happen. And I say all that to say that don't count yourself out. You never know who's looking at you. You never know who's listening. And so if you don't think you're even allowed to be in a room because you're Black, or you don't think you're even supposed to be in a space, or you're not, and don't get me wrong, I have sat at many a table for the majority of my life being the only Black person in the room. Currently, I sit as the only Black person in my entire brand, my entire organization. So I do understand what it feels like to not be really seen, but that doesn't prevent me from showing up as my fullest self.
Exactly.
And I want to encourage you all to do the same, that your Blackness, again, is not a limitation, which leads me to this idea. And I think we were talking about this back and forth earlier, this idea of, part of all of this as well is that this idea of equality is a what?
It's a scam. It's a scam. It's one of the biggest scams.
And that's a hot topic. Don't cancel us. It's a poignant sort of discussion, and I'll let you take it away.
Right. And this is a big pretzel to eat. So like, the idea of equality is lacking, is a little bit short-sighted, because equality says just give everybody the same thing, and then everything will work itself out. But as we've established, we all have backgrounds, and we all have to deal with different things on a day-to-day if we both show up at the same place at the same time, doing with the same resume, right? With the same history, like with the same like experience or whatever it is, with regards to like an opportunity perspective. This is when it comes to like business. This is when it comes to social, community things, anything involving people. Business is a big part where we interact with people. Work is a big part where we interact with people. And to just assume that if you just give everybody the same thing, everyone's going to have the same level of success is limiting. Is not seeing the bigger picture. And that's why equality is the biggest scam. No one's seeing the fact that if you give Timmy here a scholarship, and you give Dante that same scholarship, you don't realize that Timmy might have a family that has already given him this much access and exposure and experience, and is connected with family that may have a little bit more means than Dante's family.
Yeah.
And Dante may not have had the same experience, access, and so to flat out just say equality for all is very insensitive, and is missing out on people's unique individual experiences.
Yeah,
and it's lazy in my opinion. I think it's there needs to be a little bit more. It needs to be unequal. It needs to be a little different.
Yeah.
Different people have different needs. And that's why I think it's the biggest scam. And I think I would imagine you agree with me.
Absolutely.
It's the biggest scam because you're not considering that Dante, he don't have an uncle that happens to own a factory.
You're right.
That he may not have that, whereas Timmy might have 3 uncles that have different businesses that he has access to. So, sorry. I think we all need to be mindful of that as we move into our communities.
Yeah, I fully agree. And it's, having worked in D&I just slightly, because I work in comms. So in comms, there's a lot of stuff you always touch. You're always touching legal. You're always touching sustainability and advocacy. You're always you have to touch everything. One of the things that I touch quite a bit is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And by way of my work in that, I learned that there's equality versus equity are 2 different things. And it's exactly what you're saying. Equality is the idea that everyone gets the same thing. Right? As we're lending out resources, time, connect, all that is everyone gets the same thing. Everybody gets $10,000.
Yeah.
When you're talking about equity recognizes the experiences and circumstances of each of those people and gives them what they need for everyone to have the same outcome. Right. So as opposed to divvying out the equal resources, equity says we're going to look at everyone as individuals and give them what they need to have equal outcomes.
Yes. Context.
Super important. And so that is also why when I think about this idea of, us putting, mental barriers around ourselves and limiting ourselves in our mind with ourselves first, it's dangerous because in the real world, again, wherever you can cut a corner, cut the corner. Wherever you can, get through the back door, get through the back door. Because at the end of the day, no one is playing this game fair. The sheer amount of people I have come across in my life who have half my experience, have half of my education, and do absolutely nothing. There's so many places where people have leg ups in the background or have exposure to things that you don't have exposure to. Never feel bad about when it's your turn to have your moment. Because the game isn't rigged fair, right?
Yeah.
The game is rigged against you. It's the game. Right. So you have to know that whenever you can cut a corner and get what you got to be quicker or faster or with less work, don't ever feel bad about it.
Right.
Because there are people with life experiences where they never had to work as hard as you did. So the minute you have a chance to breathe and you feel that you are settled and you're in a good place, and it don't matter. Yeah. As long as you did it in a way that you have a clear conscience and clear heart and you did your best, it don't matter. The game isn't fair. Don't play it fair.
And that's why equality is a scam.
Yeah.
Because it'll make people thinking that they need to make the same amount as somebody else.
No.
They need to, and that's a big thing about salary too.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you're going after this average salary. Meanwhile, your other counterparts who may have more access, more experience and exposure, and have family that, has access and has a lot of wealth. That salary is not the same.
Yeah, the salary don't hit the same.
The salary don't hit the same.
Right.
When you gotta, let's say, take care of your parents, you have take care of the health and care of loved ones. You don't have the money ain't flowing in your family as high as some other family.
Yeah, the same way.
So why would you be pursuing equality and equal pay when it's not equal all across, when you lay everything down?
Yeah. And
that's kind of what you're getting at is in trying to be the same as everybody else, but you got these deficits.
Yeah.
And you have other consideration. It's more nuanced than that.
Yes.
This, which is go after it, get it out the mud, and don't try to fight fair.
Yeah.
Don't try to fight fair.
Do not try to fight fair because no one's fighting fair for you. I wish I could tell y'all some of the stories of stuff that I've seen. Just know that behind closed doors, nobody is fighting fair. Nobody is fighting fair. No one's taking stuff personal. It's biz. Like, you have to get in where you fit in,
right.
and however you get it, how you live, as they say. Yeah. And I fully believe that. And
and that's exactly, to go back to the point of being Black is not a limitation, is using the things that you got to work with, the card that you've been dealt with, to your advantage, and flip it. And one person put it so succinctly. I follow this gamer. I watch this gamer on YouTube. I'm obsessed with this game, Battlefield 1. It's this chaos mayhem.
You too love that.
It's insanity. Just war crimes left and right. It's
not war crimes left and right. My God,
this game is mind blowing.
That's crazy.
But one of the gamers, because the aspect of, if anyone has played like a first person shooter, you would know, like, there are different types of guns. There's like a sniper rifle that has long range. There's a assault gun that has short range, but it has faster fire rate. So two different guns and two different tools with different benefits. But what this gamer was saying was like, I'm not in the business of fighting fair. I don't want to have a fair fight. Yeah. Because that's just too much work. Yeah. It's just so much harder. Yeah. So to compete and to win, use your unique tools and look at it as a competitive advantage, no matter what. Yeah. If you're Black and you're in HR, don't go after head of HR. Go after head of DE9. Right? Yeah. If you are in a community and you've been in a church and you have a big church family, you should probably start a business. Yeah. You got your first customers right there. Yeah. That is an advantage. All these things, you never left your hometown. People from years. These people trust you. Like, there's so many, the way, when you look at the world, not as like you're in a limitation, but that you have a competitive advantage, and to take that and to use that to grow yourself. I think that's when you'll see a lot of wins in life, and you'll stop focusing on the losses, and you'll start to see more blessings come through.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah. So don't be in a business to fight fair.
Yeah, it's not going to work. And like, truth be told, y'all, I am in my season of delusion. I love being delusional, honey. I am delusional enough to believe that I can max out my career. I'm delusional enough to believe that when I'm done with that, I'm gonna hang it up and do something else, and I'm gonna be great at that too. I'm delusional enough to believe that I'm going to have a fantastic life with my husband and my future children. I'm delusional enough to believe that I am going to have the life that I want. And Amen. No one is going to stop me. And it's like, you could try to stop me, but you're going to have to catch me first, girl. Good luck.
Good luck.
You're going to have to catch me first, because I'm taking off on you. Like, I am delusional enough to believe that I can do all the things. And I think that slight air of delusion has helped me through the last 10 years of my life. I'm delusional enough to believe that if I try, I can do it. And, I understand. I'm telling y'all, I am not unaware of how I show up. I'm not unaware that I am obviously a Black woman and what that means for a lot of people when they see me, but that's them, not me. Right. So while they're over there having conniptions about the fact that there's a Black woman in this space, I've already thought about 10 steps ahead in what I'm about to do. Yeah. And that's just how it is.
And you're making it happen.
And I'm making it happen. And that's just what it is.
Be delulu enough.
Be delusional enough.
Believe.
Yeah, delusional enough to believe. Do it, because you absolutely can.
Yeah, I love that. I love that statement. And I think we all need to get a little more delusion in us.
Yes, a lot more delusion. It can't hurt. Yeah. Right?
Don't look for fairness. Don't look at the facts will be right in your face, and a lot of times the facts does not look good. The fact of the matter is this. The fact of the matter is that the stats say this. The stats say that.
Yes, all that is true.
But we got one life to live. So
yeah. And I always say that it can't hurt to try. And I get this from my dad. And it's like, it's been like a blessing and a curse. But his thing was always, look, if you try something, you try it once for whatever season you're trying it for. And if it don't work, no harm, no foul. You ain't got to do it again.
Yeah.
But you have to see stuff through to see whether or not you can make it to the other side. And I think that piece of me, he always said that in terms of like school and sports and extracurricular activities. Like I would sign up for something. He's like, look, if you sign up, you're going to have to do it the whole year. Like you're not, like you're going to have to do
follow
it.
through. Yeah.
But it taught me a level of exploration and follow through. I'm going to try it if I feel like I want to do it, and I'm going to give it my all. If it doesn't work out for whatever reason, no harm, no foul. I ain't got to do it again, but at least I would have tried. And so I want us to have the spirit of trying this a little bit more, regardless of what the world and the statistics say. Just try it. Your experience may not be like somebody else's. 99% of the time, it's not going to be, right? You may be the one to win. You may be the one in your family to break the generational curse. You may be the first one in your family of your friends to do something different. It may be you. You may be the one.
You may be the one.
You know? Exactly.
I love that. So I think we should tap into some things we love.
Things we love.
Shimmer, shimmer, shimmer. Oh, yeah, you got that?
What is that? Gregory, you're
sound effects.
You're out of control.
Sound effects, y'all.
I forgot we had sound effects now.
We got sound effects. Y'all heard that?
That's wild.
That was an eagle.
That's wild. Somebody come get this man.
We're up in production, y'all.
Get this man, y'all. He's out of control.
We are not limited. We're not
limited. We're limitless on this podcast.
Yeah, no, not a note.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there you
all
go.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So things we love.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, things we love. Being black is not a limitation edition.
Yeah.
I think for me, I chose a path of corporate. I'm doing the corporate hustle, if you will. So one of the books that has helped me like forge a path forward and really feel like I can do this. Like I can level up my career. It's a pretty simple book. It's Corporate Development for Dummies.
Period. I know that's right.
You know them 4 Dummies books?
Listen, there's some good information in there.
Microsoft Word for Dummies. Starting a garden for dummies. Corporate Development for Dummies.
I love that.
And tapping into that book. And I love books that are very literal.
Yeah, straightforward.
I love books that are very like helpful.
Yeah.
I'm not really like a nonfiction reader. What is the word? Nonfiction?
Nonfiction. Fiction.
Any of those, because those are stories.
Yeah,
I'm not too big into story
You like
books.
nonfiction. You don't like fiction.
Right, but isn't nonfiction can also be a story? Like it's a fake story. So that's like nonfiction, fiction category. There's like a self-help category.
Right.
I'm in the self-help area.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I like to be in that lane.
Okay.
But yeah, corporate development for dummies. If you are, I think it just applies to anything. So if you're, for me or for you, if you're in corporate and you find yourself like looking at that ladder as like a little hazy, to definitely tapping into that book is great. But also if you're tackling any other challenge or new venture, getting a 4 Dummies book on it is actually pretty insightful. Whether it's starting a business for dummies or whatever it may be. But yeah, the 4 Dummies books.
Very good.
Tap into that one.
I love that, the 4 Dummies books. I remember when I first started my career in communications, I had and this is before we moved to New York, so way back in our Orlando days, I had gotten public relations for dummies.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I remember,
it good?
Yeah, it was really had the basics in there. And I remember I was getting the car serviced, the car serviced.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting in the waiting room reading
Your
public relations for dummies. Yeah. So I agree. I co-sign that.
Yeah. Do you have things we love?
I only have 2 today, but I'll start with the first one. Both of these are going to be books, guys. And so, okay, I have to give you a little bit of history about these books. So I read them a long time ago, but they've stayed with me my entire life. If you know anything about me, a big part of who I am in terms of how I think is because of my father. My father is an entrepreneur. My entire life, he has owned his own businesses at varying levels of success. And so I, as his first child, had an interesting first seat, passenger seat, a sort of view of his entire work as an entrepreneur and businessman.
Yeah, he didn't hold you back.
He did not
hold
hold my back.
You was all in the meetings.
I've been in meetings. He has. I've always been asked I've always been asked my opinion on things. I have been a part of presentations and development. I've been in the mix of all those things. And as an adult, I realize how important that has been in the foundation of how I think now as a leader. One of the things that my father did very early on with me that I used to kind of be annoyed with, but I do because your dad's telling you to do it. When I was in middle school, high school, like around that age, high school for sure, my dad would have us read books. And again, my dad now, he'll send like quotes and things. Yeah. But back in the day, he would read full on books and then hand those books off to me. They were always self-help business books, affirmation books. Like he would hand the things off to me. Right. And I didn't realize how important that was until later in life. So one of the books that he gave me that was really, really important to me, and this one I know for sure I read in high school, was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. It's by Stephen R. Covey. And this particular book, the whole idea of it is that the idea of success comes from a balance of your personal and professional effectiveness. Having that balance is what's going to get you to the place where you want to be. Yeah. And one of the things that I remember most about that book is kind of what I said earlier, that, it's not about what happens to you, because things are going to happen to you in life. Yeah. Things are going to knock you down. Things are going to challenge you. It's how you respond to that thing is what defines you and your next steps, right?
That's a word.
And like for me, that has been one of the tent poles of my entire life. Stuff happens to me all the time, y'all. There's always something unexpected that is taking me all the freaking time, but it's about how I respond. I give myself a couple days to be sad about it. And then after feel my feels. I'm a big fan of feeling my feels. Yeah. And then after that, I'm getting to freaking work. Like, because I'm not going to allow something to happen to me and then define who I am. Absolutely not. And so that is one of the biggest pieces that I took away from that particular book. But the theory of it is that there are these 7 habits that you have to sort of attribute to your life to get to your level of ultimate success. Yeah. But in order to do that, it first starts with the mind shift or paradigm shift that you think of yourself and how you view the world. And so in order to get where you need to be, you have to change how you think. It's not world breaking information, but the way that it's written makes it really digestible.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Everyone's read this book, I think, or is at least aware of it. And if you have not, definitely read it. Again, it's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I read it in high school. Yeah. So there's also 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teenagers, I think now. I don't think that was out when I was a kid. Yeah. But I say all that to say that you can also start, planting these sort of seeds of how to think and how to navigate the world with your children at an earlier age. These aren't just for adults, because I read this when I was a kid.
Yeah. We'll put a link to that in the show notes so people can check that one out.
Absolutely.
So
you got one?
I have one.
Go for it.
This is another podcast. Since you guys are listening to this, I would imagine you guys are fans of podcasts. So add this one to your list. It's the BiggerPockets Podcast.
Oh, because we want our pockets to be fat.
Hey. Let me hit it.
Pockets to be fat. Pockets to be fat. Hey.
But the BiggerPockets Podcast, I remember when I first listened to this thing blew my mind. It is like tapping into like a masterminds group of people that are out there getting it. Now, they feature guests that are at, this is primarily real estate success, but I think it's this success in general that they highlight is it can be applicable. Just going out there and getting it, having a product to connect with an audience is just business in general. It just so happens to be they're focused on real estate. Yeah. But they feature guests from all types of walks of backgrounds and all different types of demographics and things like that. People of different skin colors, genders, and it is awe-inspiring to just hear someone out there that did not see their life as a limitation, their attributes and their aspects of themselves as a limitation, and they went out there and got it done.
Oh, and I love that.
It's just hearing the focus, the the defining a business, like in real estate, is very clear cut.
Sure.
But it's so much to pull from that. The idea of knowing your markets and knowing what type of business models to employ in certain aspects is universal.
Yeah.
Even if it's just even if you're not an entrepreneur. But yeah, BiggerPockets Podcast, I love that one.
Ooh,
it shows
good.
seeing Black people out here going out and getting white people, Hispanic people, all women, men, all different types of people just out there getting it done. It's a great one, and it's also very informative if you're into real estate too. I've learned a lot just by listening to like one episode every now and then. I learned so much about real estate.
That's good.
Which is always an interesting industry.
Ooh, I love that.
The
Good
BiggerPockets
one,
podcast.
I love that. Good
A lot of gems on that one.
Love. I have one more. And then now that you mentioned that, I'm going to add another one to it.
You got another one?
But I'm going to add this one. I'm going to do this one first. This is my other one. It was going to be another book. It's another dad book. Another dad book. Thanks, Dad. But everyone has also read this one. But I think it's worth revisiting. It's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You guys know Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've read this one multiple times. I think 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I probably read no more than twice.
Yeah.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I literally have the copy in my office. I have read that one down. And I think it's because this book is literally from the perspective of Robert Kiyosaki himself. And he's talking about the lessons that his father taught him about money management and financial literacy, essentially.
Yeah.
And what he viewed from his best friend's father, and they were more well off. And so he shares
that like inequality thing.
Yeah,
is
that inequality. Like, yeah, you don't want equality. Y'all want equity. 2 different things. Y'all, come on. And so the book kind of nails down these principles of wealth building, investing, and all that kind of stuff. But again, the things that I remember most about it is that one thing in particular, it's not about how much money you make that is going to make it. It's how much money you're able to keep and invest, right?
Yeah.
So if you are making money and the money is out the door, then what's the point of you making that money, right? We talk about it all the time.
Someone else.
Yeah, you made it for someone else. And it's like, we talk about it all the time. The goal in our household is not to just make more money and then start spending more. It's to make more money, but then have our lifestyles be at a comfortable place. And so we have more room to do our investing and things like that. So that's one of the principles that he shares in this book. And the other one that I always thought was interesting, and it goes back to an episode we had earlier, way back.
Is this a callback?
This is a callback.
I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's fine.
I know what I'm doing.
There was an episode that we did a while back around Black consumerism, the Black consumerism episode.
Oh, yeah.
Very good episode. And this is the idea of the rich acquire assets and the poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets, right? Cars. Clothing.
Yeah.
Your home, for instance, isn't necessarily an asset.
Sometimes on vacations.
Yeah.
Vacations are just flat out liabilities.
Yeah, those are liabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So it's how you think about the things that you are investing in. And you don't necessarily have to be extremely wealthy to live rich. And I think that's another piece of this book as well. Like, what rich looks to you may be different than somebody else. Everyone wants to live comfortably. Essentially, everyone more or less wants to be able to dictate how they how they spend their time.
Yeah.
Freedom
is a aspect of building wealth and getting rich.
Exactly.
We are really chasing freedom, honestly.
Exactly. We're chasing freedom. And so, for us 9 to 5, we're working middle class people.
Yeah.
That very much means we're working for the money.
And entrepreneurs, they want to work to scale their business so they could be more hands off.
Yeah. Exactly. So you're working for the money, fine. But it's the goal is, for some people, this is the recommendation, is to get to the point where your money starts working for you, because that's where you can start building that freedom. Yeah. And so this particular book dives into that in a high level way, but there are some practical pieces that you can take. Again, this book has been out, I think 90s as well, probably 90s. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But I recommend it. These are classic books that I would recommend for anyone who's just starting their wealth building, financial literacy journey.
Yeah.
Because it's more so about the exposure and mindset that comes from the knowledge that you gain from these books. Take it or leave all the information that's in there. You don't have to apply it, but it's the exposure to different trains of thought that I think is important.
It's very valuable. And then you just have more tools that you're equipped with to employ.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my next one. Go ahead.
That. Well, yeah, that's all I had. Those are the things that I love.
Oh.
Which was the corporate development for dummies and the BiggerPockets Podcast.
Oh, I love it.
We'll put links below for sure, and to the 2 books that you recommended.
You had one more.
You had a walk-on?
Yeah, I have a walk-on.
Yeah.
This one is a podcast that I recently started listening to. So when you said podcast, it inspired me. It's a podcast called Classy. It's by Jonathan Menjivar, and it's a collection of stories and really kind of like cringy, almost really transparent interviews that explores the way class infiltrates the day-to-day of people. So as we are talking about financial literacy, you guys remember we also wove into the idea that it's really a socioeconomic conversation that we're having here and not really a race conversation. I mean, it is, but it ain't. You kind of get where we're going. And so I think for this particular podcast, it's interesting to hear stories from a Black man working in fashion, a Jewish American girl working in medical, and so on and so forth, and how their class, current class standing, families' class standing, infiltrates their day-to-day and how they view money, how they exist and move in the world. And I think it's interesting to hear those other perspectives because not everyone thinks like us. Yeah. And it's actually shocking to hear how some people wake up in the day and like the world is at their disposal and they've never been raised to think anywhere. There are there are some people who are raised without thinking there's a limitation at all. There is no ceiling for them. And so how they walk through their day-to-day by way of their class designation is very interesting to me. So if you care to listen to it, it's produced by Pineapple Street Studios. Again, it's Classy. That's the name of the podcast. And I think you'll enjoy it. They're like 45 minute snippets. Yeah. And each episode is a new perspective and a new person. And it's very interesting.
I have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's good.
I like that. Yeah. So those are the things we love.
Woo,
Tap into them. We got deep. I would love to hear people's thoughts on those things.
Please.
Because
good.
we got very deep. I'm concerned that the FBI, the CIA is going to be watching us from now on.
If you don't hear from us in a week, tell my mother I love her.
Yeah, there's going to be a photo of Lex and I, like the Malcolm X photo of Lex and I looking at the window blinds.
We done said too much.
We said too much, y'all.
We done said too much.
But, it matters. It's very important.
Yeah, and
People need to hear this.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear everyone else's perspective as well, because this is our perspective.
Yeah.
It's generational, it's experiential, it's race and class. It's all those things. Yeah. That is our experience. If you have a different perspective, please, I'm not offended, honey. Lay it on the table. Let's have a discussion.
We could be missing something very obvious that I'm pretty sure you guys were thinking of as we were talking.
Yeah, so please lay it out.
Send us some messages. This, I think this episode and all of our episodes are really group chat apps. Yeah. So drop
it is a group
drop
chat.
the link to this pod in the group chat.
Yeah.
And then have discussion with your friends and family.
Absolutely.
Make sure you're subscribed.
Yes. I know you got homework every week. I don't play about the homework. Like and subscribe to us on Instagram, YouTube in particular. We are trying to have visual episodes out for you guys every week so you can actually see us and hang out. Follow us on Instagram. We're on TikTok. All the places. I just got to let y'all know where you can find it specifically. And then share. We are looking to grow the community. I'd say a couple hundred this year. Couple hundred. Couple hundo. Cute little hundo. But we can't do it ourselves. We need you. We need you to support. So please share.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that was yet another episode of the Lovers and Things podcast. Keep loving the things.
And loving your people. It's so important.
Bye.
Bye.
Love y'all.